Hello everybody, Christian from Treasure Town here, and today I'm doing something a little bit different and venturing into a different category of coin collecting. I spent $300 and bought 300 bucks of ancient coins from my friend Spencer Miller, and we're going to be basically going over what did I buy. So often I do like ancient or non-ancient coin grab bags. I unbox them and I know pretty much what I'm looking at, but in this case that's totally different. So I don't really know what I bought. Thanks for joining me, Spencer. Looking forward to talking about some of these coins.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
So the first one, we're going to go in order. This is an anonymous AE, time of Claudius to Nero. Now, what is even anonymous AE? I assume that's metal content. The AE, this is a basic, like you're explaining to somebody who has no idea about ancient coins, sort of what are we looking at and why is it called anonymous? What does all that mean?
Yeah, so an anonymous coin is any coin that doesn't bear the image or a legend connecting it to a specific ruler. This coin was struck in the east of the empire. It's part of the Roman provincial series. This is actually one of my favorite provincial issues because it has the Senate, the personification of the Roman Senate on the obverse, and then a bust of Roma, a personification of the city of Rome on the reverse. So this was coinage was a way that cities in the east of the empire which were Greek-speaking and had cultural traditions that stretched far further back than Rome. It was a way that cities could show their allegiance to the new power in the Mediterranean, which was Rome. So this coin is sort of representative of this city in Asia Minor's attempt to prove its loyalty to Rome. And it was struck during the 1st century AD, during the time of the Julio-Claudians, and that's why we are able to give it that approximate time period.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, super cool. I think I'm going to sort of ask some similar questions as we go along. This next one, pretty crusty, but it's got somebody there on the obverse. I believe it's going to be a Trajan, and I don't even know what that really means, issue of Atalaya, and I think I paid about 22 bucks for this.
Yep.
So how would you think about selling this? Sort of what price point did you buy this at? And yeah, what are we looking at?
Yeah, so this coin is also part of the Roman provincial series, but it's not anonymous because, as you can see on the obverse, that's a portrait of the Roman Emperor Trajan. And the Roman provincial series is really cool in that, unlike the official imperial issues from Rome, each city sort of did the imperial bust in a slightly different way. Usually it's relatively standardized, which is a testament to Roman power, but it's slightly different. And there you can see a god on the back. And yeah, I mean, this coin's in slightly worse condition, but I was able to pick it up from a London auction house in a group lot for about 15 bucks. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
And, I noticed it's a little bit corroded. Is that super common with ancient coins, or like how are some of the other ones preserved better after 2,000 years?
So almost all ancient coins come from hoards. It's very, very rare that a coin, has survived for 2,000 years being passed down basically above the ground. It's been in the ground at some point. So if you see an ancient coin that looks pristine, like it probably was in the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And corrosion is normal. On bronze coins, it's more common because
Mm-hmm.
they're harder to clean without damaging them. So on a coin like this, you would expect to see at least a little bit of corrosion, yes.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll move on. This one, I think it's our first silver coin, a Gordian 3 silver Antoninianus. I've heard that's like the less silver version of a denarius, but maybe you could explain a little bit more about what that means. And I assume I've heard about the monetary debasement that went on in Rome. Is this coin like 2% silver, 20? Was it silvered on the outside?
Yeah, so now we're getting into the Roman Imperial series. So these are official issues of the Mint of Rome. So this the portrait that you see on the obverse would be the official portrait that the emperor wanted to have on his coinage and sent out through the empire. And you're right that the Antoninianus is typically has a lower silver content than the denarius. The denarius is the Roman silver coin of the Republic and early empire, which was struck at a very high content of silver. The Antoninianus was introduced in the 3rd century as actually technically a double denarius, but as the Antoninianus was gradually debased, it contributed to the inflation in the Roman Empire at the time. This coin is struck right in the middle of that period, so it's about 40 or 50% silver. So still considered a silver coin, but it's representative of the move towards debasement, which led to the rapid inflation of the late 3rd century.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, we've done probably a lot worse in the States in terms of if you look at our silver content. Another silver coin after that, going to be also, I think, basically same coin. Now, when we're looking at these two, why do they look different? They've been cut down a little bit, maybe differently, or is that during the strike, or did people cut things off from the side of it to chip off? Like, why don't they look exactly the same?
So yeah, ancient coins were clipped. Sometimes you see it much less with silver coins because just a little bit of silver isn't really going to have that much value. Even in ancient times, you see clipping much more with gold coins, especially in the later Roman series. It was actually a crime, a very serious crime, to clip coins. In fact, if you were found clipping coins, I think it was punishable by death during certain periods.
Whoa.
But yeah, so the reason why these coins, which almost certainly weren't clipped, are different shapes is because at the mint, when the flans were made, they were made by pouring metal into casts, and sometimes those would be a little uneven, and then the dies for the obverse and reverse were struck on those flans, we call them. I know in the U.S. you call them planchets.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we'll move on. I think another smaller silver issue, maybe a denarius. Let me see. Looks like it is with Diva Faustina. I don't even know what that means, but I do recognize. I feel like that's maybe a common reverse type, or maybe they just put a lot of things like, what are we looking at?
So this coin is in better condition. This is also a more popular coin. Typically sells for about $40 to $50. It depicts the Roman Empress Faustina, who was greatly beloved in the mid-2nd century, and this coin was struck in commemoration of her death. So Diva actually means sort of deified. So it is the deified Faustina, and the veil she's wearing on the front would have signified to Romans that she was dead. And this is a popular type of a popular empress struck in commemoration of her death, and you're right about the reverse type. It is a common personification.
Super cool.
Yeah.
I think we've got another silver find here. We've got the, I don't know exactly what it is, but I think Hadrian Denarius, that's a pretty popular emperor, a well-known one maybe. I think this was the coin I paid the most for out of this lot. I think I paid $40, if that makes sense. But it's a little smaller size too. Maybe are they trying to save on silver? And what did Hadrian do? Why is he well-known?
So Hadrian was, he's known as the Roman emperor, the most well-traveled, and also the most multicultural. He traveled to more Roman provinces than any other Roman emperor by far. And in fact, he struck a series of coinage commemorating his travels. This coin is, although you can't see it, the beard is particularly well struck. Also, Hadrian coins tend to be very popular. So this coin is a desirable type. It's got moneta on the reverse, which is personification of a goddess. And Hadrian was known as a man who appreciated Greek culture.
Wow.
And spent much time in the east of the empire. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for that. I think this is our last silver coin here. Also a similar denarius to what we saw, the Diva Faustina. I think I paid a little bit less for that. Is that just like a conditional
difference? That's purely conditional. The coin on the left is in pretty good condition. No real surface blemishes. The coin on the right is a bit beat up. It's got some nicks, but Roman silver is always popular.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool.
Especially these days, the market's doing very well for denarii.
Okay, good to know. No, it's always cool to think, the history and the value, the market, it carries over from U.S. and modern world to the ancient stuff. This feels like a thicker coin, sestertius, or is it sestertius? I don't know how
Sestertius.
Sestertius. How would these have even interacted with one another? And I think we have another one right behind it. But would anybody trade a bunch of sestertii for silver coins, or what's the significance?
Yeah,
of
so
these
believe
coins?
it or not, even though this coin is much bigger, almost I think bigger than a U.S. half dollar, it would have taken a couple of these to make one small silver denarius, and I think over 100 for a gold aureus.
Wow.
These are both sestertii of the same emperor, Antoninus Pius, who was Hadrian's successor, known as a very quiet, reticent emperor who never left Rome, in great contrast to Hadrian. So one thing I want to talk about ancient coins is a so-called patina. The coin on the right has a slightly lighter patina, and that is probably authentic. Almost every ancient coin, as I've said, was in the ground, and that's typical of sand in the Eastern Mediterranean. The coin on the left, we've seen a lot of those come onto the market recently with this sort of red, kind of unrealistic patina, and those are often added by dealers in Europe just to make the coins look a little better. It's so common that it doesn't really affect the value too much. because in many cases it does make the coin look better. And after all, it's just sand. It's not, tooling, which is a much more serious issue.
Uh-huh.
But that's just something to know about ancients.
Yeah, no, it's really good. I always think, I always like the dealers who are honest, and so everybody knows I was aware of that before I purchased these coins. It's so good to not just have a positive portrayal of every aspect about every coin, and I feel like I would prefer this coin to have the
it brings
extra
out the details.
Yeah,
better,
yeah,
for sure.
totally. So after that, this one, maybe this would look nicer, and we could see it a little bit better if somebody had added that treatment to it.
So we're actually fast forwarding about 300 years in time to the Byzantine period.
Okay.
Now we're in the Eastern Roman Empire. I don't know if you can see. This one's a little hard, but it's got a profile bust of Justin I.
Okay.
He is the uncle of the most famous Byzantine emperor, Justinian the Great.
Mm-hmm.
And almost all Byzantine coins are of a cruder style than Roman, but for Byzantine collectors, that's what they love about them. And Byzantine coins contain a lot of interesting Christian history, which we'll see later. This coin was a pentanomium, which is a very, very low denomination coin. 1/8 of the largest bronze coin, the phallus.
Okay. So phallus, penta probably means 5, 40 phallus,
5.
Or 40
A
nomis.
phallus was 40 numi, and a pentanomis was 5, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Now this one, the first thing I want to ask is this like do you think that this is sandblasting or not?
That one does look sandblasted, yes, just because of how you can see like on the reverse like little minor holes in the patina, which often are a sign of sandblasting. Sandblasting is actually far more common on Byzantine coins. Than Roman. In fact, it's so common on Byzantine coins that you'll see coins in slabs these days that are repatinated, and they still sell very well.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And so this is a half phallus, 20 numi.
Yep.
Anno, is that like a Christian symbol of the cross?
Yeah, that is. Byzantine coins after the 5th century started incorporating crosses onto the coins, or the Chi-Rho symbol. And in fact, starting in the 7th century, some of the most popular Byzantine coins are the first portraits of Christ ever on coinage.
Wow.
And on this coin, anno is in the year. That's from Latin. And then the 4 in Roman numerals on the right is the 4th regnal year of that emperor and empress on the front.
Oh, sweet. So, that regnal year, I assume,
Justin
is when they're reigning.
And Sophia, yeah. And an interesting thing about this coin is the empress, who's on the right, Sophia, was one of the first Byzantine empresses to really wield power in her own right. Her husband, Justin II, who's on the left, went mentally insane, and she actually was able to pretty capably administer the empire.
Whoa.
During his bout of mental insanity.
No, thanks for the extra history.
Yeah.
We got a few more here, and I've been super thankful for you joining us with the high quality for a first time video. I don't think any viewer would have thought that this was your first time joining the channel unless they've watched literally every one of my videos in the past.
Let's hope that's the case.
Yeah, exactly. This, what are we looking at here?
So here we're looking at the coin of one of the worst, if not the worst, Byzantine emperors in history. He's on the left, and his name was Phocas. In fact, one of his major contributions to history was the dissolution of the Roman army. He was an army commander who came to power by using his soldiers and rebelling against the emperor, and he was so terrified of the same happening to him that he basically destroyed the army, which allowed first the Persians and then the Muslims to conquer about half of Byzantine territory.
Oh, my goodness.
But as you can see, there are multiple crosses on this coin, 2 on the obverse and one prominent one on the reverse, which are always one of the most popular things about the Byzantine series, is they're very much pieces of Christian history, early
Makes
Christian
sense.
history.
Yeah, no, I'd imagine. I mean, that's my name, but there's like billions of Christians in the world, so they probably like having Christian imagery. If they're collecting a coin, they kind of want to get something. I think these are all similar, these last 3, with what looks to me clearly like Jesus Christ, given that there's the halo and like the cross behind it. They're sort of crudely struck, like maybe you were mentioning this is, or maybe it's just that they're pretty worn. But I feel like it's cool that you can see that outline, 1,500 years later, or maybe it's 1,000 years later, and then also with this writing on the back. Yeah, can you comment on these?
So these are actually some of the least crude coins in the Byzantine series. These all are a bit worn, but if you find coins in mint state, they're some of the most exquisite portraits of Christ ever on coinage, even to the present day. These coins actually aren't even terribly worn. All of them have the very clear reverse legend, which is Jesus Christ, King of Kings in Greek. And then, of course, they all have the portrait of Christ on the obverse holding the Book of Gospels and nimbe. That's what that halo around him means. And these coins were really important. This was struck during a time when the Byzantine Empire was really recovering ground against the Muslims. And these coins circulated beyond the borders of the Byzantine Empire in the Islamic world. And it was a way of letting, ordinary Muslims know this great Christian power that was on their doorstep. And it was a way of projecting the faith beyond Byzantium's borders, not just to the Islamic world, but also to the recently Christianized peoples of the Balkans. So these are really, really cool coins. Some of the most popular in the Byzantine series and some of my favorite to collect. Oh. And these are actually all pretty nice examples.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of this stuff I might resell, but a lot of it I'll probably just hold on to and add to my collection, because I think that a lot of these coins, the ones in front of us and some of the ones in back, are just fascinating pieces of history. So thanks so much for talking about this. Hopefully maybe we can do some more content and teach people. I think anybody who sat in on that just learned a ton of history and maybe is inspired to collect ancient coins. So thanks for being part of this.
Yeah, stay tuned. We'll have some great stuff coming.
Thanks for watching the video. Be sure to like, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to Treasure Town, and get in touch with me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Also, check out my website, treasuretowncoins.com, for news and updates related to the channel and collectibles in general. Lastly, there's a link tree in the description with links to all of my other sites, as well as some affiliate links that can support the channel. But with that being said, have a great day, and I'll hope to see you on some of my videos in the future.